Yo, what's going on out the YouTube? It's STL0320 representing JVS. So, I just want to give you guys a heads up. I had planned for this elaborate, it super spoiler review. And this is going to be a spoiler review, but this is not going to be anything special. Like, I literally just got out of seeing American Assassin maybe less than 2 hours ago. Did my review for that, posted that up. But I was like, I forgot to do the spoiler review. So I want to go ahead and do this for you guys. So if you have not seen it, I've already told you guys I've given it an 8.5 out of 10. I actually want to see it again. If I see it again and I actually like it even more, I might push it to a 9 because it was really that good. So I can say in confidence that you'll have a good time. But if you have any kind of anxiety or worry about, jump scares or like clowns, this movie is not for you. Do not take kids to go see this. So that's definitely off the gate right now. Just letting you guys know this is a spoiler review. So cut your thing off here. Go right here, somewhere over here or over here to my non-spoiler review, and you can check that out in its entirety and enjoy that, and then come back to this after you've seen the movie over the weekend. So let's go ahead and get into the biggest things. I want to also apologize to you guys. And from the other video, I did say that Tim Curry is RIP. I said that by accident. I was actually talking about Alan Rickman, so I apologize for that. For people that were asking me about who I was referring to, the character Beverly, played by what's the girl's name? Sophia Lillis, Molly Ringwald from 16 Candles. The movie I was referring to about what this reminded me of was Super 8 in terms of like the visual immersion and like the scope, and at the same exact time like the score. And I think that's about. Oh yeah, somebody was like, everybody said this is not a remake, it's an adaptation. Okay, it's an adaptation. I'm so sorry. It's an adaptation based off of the book. But what I will be able to parallel for you guys is the fact that I've not read the book. I've only seen the actual, the TV movie. And there's a lot of things they take directly from the TV movie and they put it right in here, and they make the strengths of what I saw from the TV adaptation better in this movie. So let's go ahead and just break this down. So from the very opening, okay, a lot of people ask me this question: what happens to Georgie? Georgie took a L. The setup and the payoff for Georgie was so perfect because Jaeden, that plays the role of Bill, he starts off with a stutter. Like, I think that in the TV adaptation, it didn't seem like he had a stutter off the gate. And like he was just kind of playing hooky because he was acting like he was sick. And then he kind of just, like, in this movie, he was just talking with Georgie and interacting with. You could tell he really loves his brother. He got the walkie-talkies, and Georgie already was scared because he went down to the basement. I kind of felt like, man, that was like an eerie kind of feel. But then by the time he got to the drain, like, Georgie had knocked himself down first off, and so scary and so tense feeling. You could feel like, the goosebumps coming up. And then when he went down to try to pick the thing up, and Pennywise showed up with his buck teeth and just like kind of looking at him. The first thing about Pennywise that stood out for me in this film is his eyes change in transition. Like, they literally are CG'd, but they go from blue to yellow to red, and they go all throughout the film. It just changes. His look, the look of Pennywise throughout the entire film completely changes. It is evident that he not only loves to eat kids, but he hates kids. And it's crazy because, like, when he was talking to Georgie, like, I was like, man, maybe Georgie's not gonna do it, maybe he's gonna stop. And man, Georgie, like, he said something like, man, come on down here if you want your, you want this, you don't want to get in trouble, and played on his weakness. And man, he bit Georgie's arm off. It was so bad that Georgie's arm was in his mouth, and like, Georgie tried to crawl away, and his arm was gone, and it was just blood everywhere. And it was crazy because the way they set it up, they had this like chick, like this old lady, looking and saw Georgie, like saw him at the drain, and then she saw nothing. Like, she didn't really pay attention to it. And I was just like, that in and of itself, that setup and that payoff was epic because that set the tone for everything. The kids themselves were amazing. I've gushed about them already. Like, I thought that, Richie was my favorite from Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things. So different in terms of how he did that. but like he was the comedic relief throughout the entire film. Like he was like always cracking jokes. He was always picking at them, making these like random sexual innuendos. And little kids, like honestly, like at certain ages, like definitely did curse and said certain things, but it was just like he was just definitely the comic relief. It's such tension that was always happening, and it's kind of felt like even like their relationships together felt really platonic based on some of the interactions that were happening between all of them. In my personal opinion, even when like Chosen Jacobs Mike came in, you know, I felt like his transition was even better because what they did with Mike, they showed like how, you know, he was working at this is what did they call slaughterhouses, where he was kind of like, well, no, he was working slaughterhouse. I think he's working on a farm, but he was like going and kind of shedding sheep, and then he was killing them, you know. And I was kind of like, what the world, you know? And he couldn't do it at first. And then he got cornered, you know, by the same bullies, and there was this house that burned down, the same as that house that, you know, his parents died in, and like that scene was so intense because like I was like, yo, what is he gonna do? Like, is he really gonna go in there? And then all of a sudden, like Pennywise, the way he kind of showed out, like he saw all those different things, and then the door flew open. That was crazy. I would tell you some of the dopest moments with Pennywise as well in just a little bit. But I like the way that they transitioned Mike from after that point, you know, and then like the bullies would end up chasing him, and I think they did a really good job with it. The other thing was with Beverly. Like the way that they handled Beverly in this was way better than how they did with the TV movie. And I think that one of the things that helped with that was the actress. The actress Sophia Lillis. I think she's gonna be a great actor. And she does such a powerful performance in this. Her eyes are very piercing. Like they're beautiful eyes, but it's like this innocence, there's strength, there's so many different things that she's conveying through her, just her look and her actions. And it's evident, you know what I'm saying? Like she already had like a little small crush on Ben, you know? But at the same exact time, she was kind of like with Bill, you know? And it's like, it was funny watching their dynamics together, but when she was home and she was with her dad, those were some messed up, eerie feeling scenes. Like in the TV movie, they could only go but so far, but because this was rated R, they did not hold back from, you know, this incestual like thoughts and terrible like, you know, things that were kind of happening with and to this girl. And even like the guy, what was his name? Henry Bowers even implied that he did something to her or with her. It was just really crazy, man. And she was one of the biggest assets, the biggest strengths of this film. But I gotta give it up to Bill Skarsgård. Bill, dude, man, like the way he was able to change his voice and go back and forth from one time that kind of caught me off guard was when they were all looking at the film strip. Like they were in the garage and they were going through the different sections of the film, trying to figure out, you know, what was the origins of this clown, like this killing these kids. How did this kind of happen? And I think even the structure of the film in and of itself, instead of like with the TV movie, how they went from, you know, back and forth with the adults to the kids and just keeping with the kids and show progressively how they go through all their weaknesses, all their fears, and then how it goes full circle back. I thought that was really good. And even with like the additions to, you know, Mike's uses with the things that he was using to go kill the sheep or the slaughterhouse, and at the same exact time, like the other things that they used, like I thought it was so much more natural than them having like this random silver pellet and like, you know, popping at something. But anyway, I don't want to go too far, but Bill Skarsgård, there's this one moment where he was cornering, who did he corner? I feel like he cornered Richie, but it was Bill. Was it Bill? I don't know. Was it Richie? No, it was Eddie. Eddie caught that L. Eddie broke his arm because he fell through the floor, right? Towards the end. And like when Eddie, you know, was looking, like he saw something coming out of the closet. And when that joint happened and like the contortion of his body kind of came up and then he just kind of walked up on him really slowly, like that to me from an acting standpoint has to do with timing, mannerisms, and then utilizing the effects to do it the right way, but it seemed seamless. And I didn't go into it like I was starting to, but the garage sequence when they were going through the actual film sections, and like everybody, we were all focused on the picture. And I was kind of like, oh, he's gonna bust through the screen, or like it's gonna be really corny. Like, no, this ninja legit showed up, and like everybody freaked out. Everybody freaked out. And I think even the bathroom scene, that jump scare was probably the one that caught me off guard the most, because Beverly, you know, she was going and interacting with Bill, and then all of a sudden, like, she went and turned the corner, and oh, no, you know, I think this was when, yeah, she had just knocked her dad down or out, and you were like already fearing for her life, and then all of a sudden, like, her dad showed up, and like he knocked him down, and then you thought she was gone, and then she was about to leave, and this dude popped out like that. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is gonna mess some people up. From jump scares alone, it's gonna mess some people up. But the way that they were able to have this clown lunging at people, I think at first I was kind of like, man, this is gonna kind of corny. Like he's kind of like shriveling his head and coming out of the water. But the progressive how this movie goes, and the way they were able to utilize like him lunging at them and him like losing it in front of them, I think that they were able to capture that and convey this really sense of dread. Even with Henry Bowers, I'm not sure if this is the same in the book, but I think it is. But this dude like straight up got manipulated into killing his dad, like straight up killing. I mean, to be fair, his dad was kind of torturing him. Like his dad shot at him at one point on his feet. He was like pressuring him, and it's just like he was already, you know, abusive to the kids, but like from what he grew up into, I understand that. But it was like Pennywise was basically like, go ahead and kill him. And I was like, this is way more effective than him as an adult, you know, older person, and then killing him. And I've heard that you guys have told me that there was another character. What was his name? Let me see if I can find his name real quick. I think it was Patrick Holster. Y'all, some of y'all had wrote me and said that Patrick has this random thing with some leeches at the bottom when he dies. I think that this was a little bit more effective because it conveyed what he was really afraid of, like death. Because I don't know how it is in the book, but like when he kind of was already like when they were torturing the kids, like he seemed like he didn't care. And I think that's what y'all was saying, that was the embodiment of his character. Like he was just really naturally a psychopath anyway. And so he went into the sewer to try to track him down. I didn't know what he was gonna do it because I think he had like a kind of like a blowtorch. You know, he had like the can compressed air, and then he had like a lighter. He was sitting there blowing it. I was like, he's about to die. And sure enough, man, he caught that L, man. And this movie is so gruesome in some of the different moments. Like, I was really surprised that like they showed, you know, the kids, one getting maimed. Like Ben got like a carving in his stomach. He got sliced in his chest. Like Beverly put the pipe thing through Pennywise's head, and then he just pulled it right out. And it was just like they didn't hold back. The other thing about this is Pennywise's origin. Like, I don't know. Well, some of you guys, you should probably know more than me from the book versus the TV movie. But in the TV movie, he ended up becoming this big spider. And I was kind of like, what? You know, in this, it looks more alien than it does spider. And I don't really know which is what. Because when, you know, the team all conveyed together, and I was really upset with Bill. I was like, Bill, come on, man. Like, that's not Georgie, dog. But when you look at from the beginning all the way until they had this deep conversation with Pennywise about how he regrets not saving Georgie and wish he could have done this, like, you can tell he's just been in this state of depression and just sadness over his brother, and it's merited, you know what I'm saying? And so that's what provokes him to fight. But at first I was kind of like, you seeing Sophia up in the air, eyes glazed over, like, what happened? Like, of course we know the light caught her, but what were the ramifications of that? And then I know that in the TV movie they forgot certain things because of the light. But anyway, the kids were all like up there floating in the air. And I was like, this isn't a spider web. They're just floating. There is no webs anywhere. And it wasn't like they could just sit there and like cut her down. Like they had to literally forcibly pull her down. So that to me led to me believing like maybe is like this clown really more so alien in nature than like this, kind of creature that came from Earth, or was this spider just been around for years or whatever. But either way, I'll say this: the imagery in this is something that if you're not careful, if you are afraid of any of this stuff, it'll stick with you. And I highly recommend you kind of like not see this, because there are certain things that you just really can't forget. Like you will see like Pennywise's head like shriveling around, or like you'll see like that moment in your head when Georgia got maimed, or even like the even summer moments, like when like the group was together and they were at the waterfall and they were about to jump off, and I was kind of like, should y'all do that? Like I didn't know. Or even when like what was my dude Ben? When Ben was getting like beat down by the group, it was way worse, because like Ben kind of tried to fight back, and like I was like, dude, they gonna kill this kid. Like I was like sitting there watching him carving into that. It was just really disturbing. It was a lot of disturbing imagery. Scares were definitely there, and I think that they did a really good job servicing, I guess, what this adaptation was supposed to be. But in from my personal opinion, without going on any kind of reference like from even the TV version, this was just a good movie. It was a character trope of a coming to age story, but at the same exact time, the evolution of how people progress through tragedy, through things that are happening. And like these kids were dying. You know what I'm saying? Like it's real. And I think that was one of the strengths that I saw from the TV movie. Like they really put that out there. But it was kind of like it took these random moments of just cheesiness. And this movie doesn't have cheese. Like the cheese that happens is dark humor. And dark humor rarely is that cheesy. So it's more so fun in a conversational standpoint. I think the villains, or not the villains, but the bullies, I thought they were going to be a more cliche. I think they could have done a little bit more with them, but I think they did a really good job from what I got. And then at the very end, with Pennywise kind of like retreating into the water, and then them all making a blood pack instead of just like we never really actually saw it before in the TV movie. I thought that was really interesting because it definitely leads into a part two. Like I was like, Pennywise gonna get away. I just didn't know how. But it was kind of like, for me, it was a homage to, I guess, as an adaptation, what the TV movie did best. And I guess from what y'all have been telling me, they really take it there. But I heard that there's some other things that kind of like they left out of the movie. Like I guess the kids were a little bit more intimate and showed a little bit more things. Like Beverly did some more questionable things. And it was just kind of like more so like unnecessary stuff that they kind of left out of this movie. And I'm glad they did, because as much as I can't, take a kid to go see this, like it reminds me so much of Stranger Things. It reminds me so much of the things that I liked about Super 8. It reminds me so much about the Goonies. But at the same exact time, this is a good horror film. Like I think when you look at the movie The Conjuring, you really feel moments of dread. You feel moments of like this eeriness that's like, what's gonna happen. I think even Insidious the same exact way. There's a moment when they were going through the tunnels that I felt like from the movie The Descent. If any of you guys have seen that, like I was like, dude, they are about to be in a bad situation. When Bill left them and he cut off to the corner, I was like, yo. But what did y'all think about the different fears? Like, I think the best one, and I think it's gonna come off as a cliche the more I watch it, was Richie's. When Richie went into that room, he got closed in there. He couldn't go anywhere. Like I was like, what is Richie gonna do? And all these clowns are just surrounding him. He's so afraid of clowns. I was sitting there kind of like, oh man. But I think the more I watch it, it's gonna be like, well, nothing he could have done. He could have really died in this one. They could have went there and just kind of killed him off. But like for the sake of story, how his character is gonna progress. I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with the older generation. Like, I really hope they get some really good talent, because these kids brought it. Pennywise or Bill Skarsgård brought it. So I think that this is going to be something that, you know, is another classic in a lot of different ways, which is really good because some people thought that this was not going to be good. I personally didn't think it was going to be good. But if I can sit there and recount all these different things from a movie I saw a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, it's dope. So definitely go and check it out if you haven't seen it. If you just wanted to see this spoiler review, hopefully you enjoyed it. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. I guess I'll see it again later. Peace, guys.